Okay, let me share my screen and we can get started. So this is the Infor productivity training. This is going to be the successor tool to Kronos Analytics. So if you're familiar with Kronos Analytics, this will be kind of that same let me go back to home. This will be that it'll show you a lot of the same things as Kronos Analytics did, although it has a number of really key enhancements that I'm going to show you guys today. And it's going to be a lot easier essentially to get all your data as you start moving through it. If you guys have any questions through as I'm talking, please feel free to ask them. Raise your hand, put something in the chat, just speak. I'm happy to answer questions at any time. But one thing is, if you're trying to like get into Infor and follow along with me right now, you're not going to be able to. That's because this tool is released on March 9th to coincide with the WFM release. And so just watch me, follow along with me, ask questions, but you're not going to actually be able to get into the tool until March 9th, that Monday. Now, to get into it, first you have to go up to this navigation menu, which we lovingly call the waffle menu in the upper left. And then underneath applications, you'll have HR Talent Analytics. Now, I just like pinned it to the top. It's up to you. I pin it to the top to make it easier. It means that as soon as I log into Infor, I can just go up and click HR Talent Analytics, and it'll push me to that spot. Now, my page is showing up currently blank, but that happens sometimes for me. But I know that because I'm an admin and I don't have any direct reports, this page in general isn't going to show me any data. It's going to show you guys information. And so if you go in there and you're like, wait a second, mine doesn't look like his, that's perfectly fine. It's because you have probably a different access level than I do. But either way, there will be a drop down in the upper left. You'll be able to scroll down and you'll be able to select productivity. All right. So before I jump into like the specifics of how to move around and all of that, I want to touch on a couple of our data sources that we have coming through from that are being compiled into productivity. So we have our payroll information. So that's coming from Infor. So, you know, where people are working, pay codes, hours, dollars associated with it, all of that information. That's Infor. Then we also have our volume data, so our workload information, and all of that's coming from Epic. And then we have our budgets that come from Axiom. In addition, we also upload some additional info. So we upload info for our agency employees, and then we also upload some additional volume as well. So all of these various components of productivity come together to kind of give you a full compass view of where are people working, how many FTEs are in said department for X pay period, what's their workload that they're facing, and then what are the budgets that we've set up for all of those pieces. Now, at the top of the screen, you'll be able to select, this is your home screen, you'll be able to select your pay period start and end dates. So we're going to have data from FY26 and forward in this tool. For everything FY25 and back, you're going to be able to pull it from currently Kronos Analytics and then the legacy tool that will house all of that like historic data that I think will go, I think that's happening sometime in July. But we'll be able to select your pay period start and end dates here. So you have the flexibility to choose, you know, fiscal year to date, or you can just choose one pay period. It's really up to you. And selecting one is as simple as clicking into the dropdown and scrolling down to whatever you want. So I'll flip it to pay period end date for 9/20 here. It will update all of my data based off of my selection. So essentially, if you want to update things, it's really simple. You don't have to rerun any reports. It's just updating a filter, and then everything will rerun automatically after that. You can also flip between your worked and paid data, and that will update all of the numbers that you're seeing to show you your worked or paid information. Now on this front screen, we wanted to give people a view of the whole system. So if you work at BW and you're like, oh my God, I'm seeing everything. I'm seeing all the different member orgs that and productivity. That's perfectly reasonable. That's what we wanted. We want people to be able to log in and kind of get a benchmark before they drill down into their information of, okay, what are some trends that we're seeing across the board for our various member organizations. So this first section that I'm going to show you right here, productivity impact, primarily this is going to be measuring the difference in hours per unit of service between your actuals and your budgets. And then it's going to be taking that number and it's going to be measuring its impact upon your FTEs and your expenses. So here you'll have like the total number of worked FTEs and then as a percentage. And then you'll also have it as a total expense number as well. In addition, right here, we have our price, favorable, unfavorable. The worked FTE section here is going to remain all zeros because this field wouldn't be measuring FTEs, but I don't think we can remove it from the actual screen. Then it has our expense here. So what that's going to be looking at is it's measuring your variance between your budgeted and actual pay rates for each of your departments. So if on average your pay rates are higher than in your actuals than what you budgeted, or they're lower than what you budgeted, this is going to show you that difference. And you're also going to see your volume impacts on the far right. Now, this is going to be measuring, of course, the difference between your volume budget and your volume actuals, and it's going to be expanding that to show your its impact upon your FTEs and then your expenses, kind of similar to what we saw with the productivity impact. For example, if in a perfect world, right, if you have higher volume for your flexing departments, if you have a higher volume, you'd expect higher hours, higher FTEs to go up and meet that volume. In a perfect world, more workload, more people. But of course, that doesn't always happen. And so this is measuring essentially where are those variances occurring, particularly between your budgets and actuals, then how many like worked FTEs and how much expense would be affected by that difference. Then when we get over to this far left section, that's why I left it for last, it basically consolidates all of the other fields that you see in the rest of your table. So this is kind of showing you everything pulled together. Now, if I scroll down, I have a fiscal year to date graphic that's going to flip between my various impact numbers above. So I can do hours, dollars, FTEs, and it'll update it for me. And then I could even select a specific member org if I want that as well. Now, if I want to, I can drill down into my information. So there's a couple different ways to move throughout this tool. The most intuitive of these are just going to be following these blue hyperlinks that you're going to see. So if I want to look at BW's information, I can click on BW. There we go. It will drill me down into the next level, and it'll filter that next level for just BW. You can also get around by these yellow buttons up at the top. So clicking productivity home would, of course, push you back to the home page. And then return to previous level will basically just bump you up one level. So if you're looking at the department view, it'll push you back up to member org or so on and so forth. And the last way we have to get around, which may become more, you guys might use a lot more as you get more familiar with the tool, you can click this drop down on the right, and this will show you all of the dashboards that you have access to. You'll be able to, immediately jump to them as soon as you open the tool. So if you open up productivity and you're like, you know what, I want to check on my department dashboard, you can see it right there. I just got a question that can we in this video, is this meeting recorded and can it be sent to us? Yeah, it's being recorded and it'll be sent to you. I'm also going to show you a spot where we have the video for the training saved. I believe we're gonna push it there. So I'll show you all of that. Now, let's say, for instance, I get to this second page. I selected BWMC, of course, so we're only seeing BW. I get to a page and I'm like, you know what? I actually don't want the filter that I've selected in this, because you'll be able to select a number of filters throughout this tool. And this first one is an automatic one due to your selection. So if you get to a page and you're like, you know what? I'd love to just have like the default, no filters, just I want to be able to see what this looks like before I filter anything. You can go up to this circular arrow at the top and click reset. And it'll remove any selections that you've made so far. I'm going to put this one back in. There we go. Now, this second page is going to cover a couple of the things that we already saw in the previous page, but it's going to expand upon them. So first, you're going to see your hours here. You'll be able to compare your worked to your budgeted hours. And then you can see the variances between them. We also have our volume adjusted budget here, followed by of course, variance field from your volume adjusted budget. Then you have your percent favorable or unfavorable here. So that kind of the 6-column structure of your actual budget, variance, and then volume adjusted versions, that structure is going to be repeated a number of times throughout this tool. And so that you'll get used to seeing that throughout here. So you're going to see that, of course, here for your FTEs as well. And then you're also going to see that for your dollars too. And then on our far right side, we have our impacts, of course, that we saw before. That this is going to be a repeat of the previous page that we just saw. But let's see, I want to drill down into BW's information again. And so I can select any of these blue hyperlinks here. I'll click BW right there. And that will bring me down into my department overview. So this is going to be the first page that you're really going to see your security configuration come into play. You should only really be seeing departments that fall under your specific user. And when I say that, I mean like due to the security configuration that's set up for you. So if you have any issues where you should be having access to a specific department that you manage that you're just not seeing, if you don't have any of that, send a message to the help desk and they can help you on making sure that your security configuration is set up correctly in Infor. And if you're a part of the decision support group, you may need to send a message to our team, because I think we're probably going to have a hand in that too. So everyone, send a message to the help desk, unless you're part of decision support, in which case I think we'll be the ones that have to set that up. So on this page, of course, you'll have your operating department on the far left. So it'll be the department name and description. You'll then have your operating department grouping. So these are different like groupings of our various departments. So it'll be all of our nursing services, our surgical services, ambulatory care clinics. You'll be able to see essentially how we've grouped together some of these like departments. We then have our control structure in place. So we have our SVP, VP, director, and manager that are tied to each of these departments. Then we have our unit of service here. So our unit of service is going to be dependent on what department you are. and it'll measure the fluctuations in workload for your department. So fixed, of course, means just it has a fixed workload and it stays steady every pay period. But if you come down, you can see some have equivalent patient days, and that would be measuring patient days in your volume. Neonate deliveries, it's the number of deliveries that are coming through for that department. So each department is going to have a different unit of service. And just take a look at yours, and you can if you have any questions on it, I'm happy to answer them. Now, any of these fields you can filter on, any of the ones that I just named. So you go up to this top little filter icon, and then you can flip between your worked and paid values. So at the top, of course, you could just click back and forth. So all I'd have to do is click this button, click apply, and it would redo everything to just show me my paid data. I could select my member organization cascading filter. So what this is going to be is it'll allow you to flip between, BW if you want another member org, or if you wanted to filter on specific departments, you could do that as well. Of course, you'll be able to filter on unit of service, like I just went over, your operating department grouping. So I wanted to do, let's say, just my nursing services, and check this, and click apply. It will show me all of my nursing services departments. And finally, if you want to filter on your SVP, VP, director, or manager, you just go under your department hierarchy cascading filter, and you'd select whichever is flowing through, whichever you want to filter on. Now, scrolling through this page, we have a lot of different data here. So you'll be able to see your productivity index, which is going to be showing you your, it's going to be comparing your actual hours per unit of service to your budget. And then, of course, we have our volume here. So our actual volume that's coming over from thick versus our budget that we have on file, and then your variances. Scrolling over, you're going to see your hours. So it's going to be that same structure that I told you before of your actuals, budget, your variance. You get a percentage of your variance, and then you'll get a volume adjusted version for all of those. We also have a breakout here for hours per unit of service. So you'll get your actuals, budget, and difference. And then we also have our Vizient benchmarking data here. So if we have a benchmarking, if we have basically a benchmark on file for each of your departments, it'll show here. Otherwise, it'll be 0 if we just don't have one on file. We also have our FTEs. We have our dollars. And then, of course, we have our productivity, price, and volume impacts here. So there's a lot of different information. We wanted to have essentially an incredibly comprehensive view for our department overview. It was the most helpful for our users when we were asking people what they wanted in the new tool. And so that's what we built. Now, this might be a page that you want to export. Exporting is really easy. All you have to do is go up to this top right down arrow underneath Dashlet Actions. Go to Export As, and then you can choose whatever format you want. So whether you want PDF, PowerPoint, CSV, data to Excel, it's up to you. You can have all of that. You can choose whichever you would like to. In addition, one of our enhancements in this new tool is that we're able to create notifications. And what this is going to do is it's going to send an email to you on a schedule that you set with this report attached to it. So if I wanted to make one, all I'd have to do is, of course, click Create Notification. I'd name it. You can put your email down or someone else's email if you're setting this up for somebody. You can go into your subject, and if you wanted to change the subject of the email, you can change it. And then you can set how often you want it to repeat. So let's say, for instance, I want this report to be sent to me bi-weekly after new pay period data drops into the tool. It would be really simple for me to do that. I can go under weekly here. I can click every 2 weeks, and then I can select, I want it Monday at 10 a.m. And then, of course, I'd have to select like a start date. So I'd want this to start exporting to me on blank. And then down at the bottom, you can select whatever format you want. So it can be your CSV, PowerPoint, Word, Excel. I would suggest for this report, don't do inline HTML. I think that's just pushing it, literally doing a readout of this report in the body of your email, which isn't necessarily the best. And so it makes it really, really simple, essentially, for you to automate getting these reports. And essentially, new pay period data drops. I get sent it at 10 a.m. in the morning. I can check how my departments are looking like in productivity. If there are any issues, I can, start talking to people. But it means that you can be automatically reminded to look at this information rather than having to put something down on your, putting a note down for yourself. And in our very busy schedules, it makes it a lot easier for you to check out how you look in productivity. I can exit out of that. And let's say I want to keep drilling down into my data. So I'll look at Nursing Med Surg 5 West here. And I can see that I'm now down in my department pay detail. So this is going to break out my data for my department between my productive and my non-productive values. So there will be my various buckets that are flowing into each of those overarching categories. So I'll have my regular overtime. I have external agency here, as well as our staffing office. And then we have our orientation and per diem values. In addition, I have my PTO, my bonus, on-call, and other as well. And then, of course, we have our budgets all the way over to the far right, and our totals here. Now, if I wanted to bring in multiple departments, it's really simple. Of course, you just go up to your filters, member organization cascading filter, and then I can click to my operating department. All I have to do is check a couple others. I want to grab 5 South and 6 South. Then I click apply, and it will show me all 3 of my departments. So it makes it really easy for you to go in and compare a couple different departments at the same time. Now, if you're looking at this and you're thinking, I really wish I knew what pay codes were rolling up to, other or regular overtime, I'll show you a report in a little bit that'll show you the breakout of all of your pay codes and what categories they fall to. So you can get that information in this tool if you want to. So if you want to, drill down and see what's falling where, I'll show you that in a little bit. Now, I can click into 5 West again. Let's drill down into our data a little further. Now I can see that I'm at my pay type by job code page. What this is going to be showing me is that same breakout of all of our productive and non-productive categories, but I'll be able to switch it up by my job codes. So I'll be able to view it by my job codes. So it makes it really simple to go into this tool and see all of your various job codes that you have flowing through to your department. And then actually over here on the right, you can also compare it to your budget that we have on file. So this is a new enhancement that we have for this tool. In Kronos Analytics, we were only able to house our departments at we were only able to house our budgets at our department level. But here, we're able to actually house it all the way down to our job code too. So it's one of our big enhancements. Hopefully, it'll make it a lot easier for you guys especially around budget season, because you'll be able to see, okay, what did I budget for last year? What job codes am I seeing a lot more of in our previous budget? And then how does that compare to the actual job codes that are coming through? And maybe I can make some changes based off of what I'm seeing in this tab. So it'll hopefully make it a lot easier for you guys to do budgets and break information out by your various job codes. Of course, for any of our pay type pages, that like this one and the one I just looked at, you can also switch between your hours and dollars. So I'm only seeing hours here, but if you want to see dollars, you can as well. And then we actually have one more, but I'm not going to click on it because I don't want to expose anyone's, information, any employee names and where they're working and how much they're making or anything like that. But our pay type by employee page is going to look exactly like this one we're on right now, but it'll also include your employee names. So that'll show you all the employees that roll up to your user, and you can check out, what categories they're falling into. Now, if you ever have a question about what a specific field means, you can go under this data definitions page. And what this will show you is it'll show you the name of the report. It'll show you the title of each field. It'll give you a definition for it. And then if it's necessary, it'll also give you a formula. So if you're looking for a specific field name and you really don't know what you're looking at, or you don't feel like scrolling through this page to find it, I find the easiest way to traverse this is you click Control F on your keyboard. It'll bring up a little search bar on the top of your web page, and you can just start typing. So if I was looking for productivity index, it will show me where it's showing up in the page, and it'll highlight it for me, so I can just immediately jump down to that part of the page to see where productivity index is. Of course, it'll give you my definition, actual output, budget output, actual hours per unit of service divided by budgeted hours per unit of service. So it makes it really simple to, like, if you need a definition for something, you can grab it from here quite easily. Now, if you are familiar with Kronos Analytics, this next page might be familiar to you. It's going to be our department dashboard. And what this is going to show you is going to show you a 6 pay period breakout for your department. So I selected a date up at the top. It'll show me that in the far right, and then it'll show me the 6 prior pay periods before that. So it'll give me my unit of service, my department, it'll show me my volume, hours, TEs, dollars, and then my hours per unit of service down at the bottom. And so it makes it really easy for you to compare one pay period to the next to see if there's any issues on a specific pay period. It also lets you establish some trends, so for instance, if a department is closing down, you'll be able to see, volume start to decrease as that department is starting to close. You'll be able to see a lot of stuff like that. Of course, you can flip here between your worked and paid values, and it'll update. Then we have a graphic on the right side that will show me my hours, dollars, or FTEs. And then it'll compare the budget to our actuals, and then it'll give you the variance total as well. So it's really easy to take a look at your data. Now, one of the things that's an enhancement for this tool that wasn't present in Kronos Analytics is that you can actually bring a couple departments into this view. So if I go up to my filters, go to my member organization cascading filter and my operating department, I can scroll down, and I'll select these 3 departments again. Give it a second to think. All right, and now I can see 5 South. So, for example, if I'm a nurse manager where I look at a couple different departments on the daily, I can say, oh, I can log in and I can say, oh, 5 South looks good. Let me scroll down. I'll take a look at my other department. All right, 5 West also looks interesting. I may need to follow up with somebody. So it makes it really easy for you to compare and contrast a couple of different departments, especially for kind of your regular views. Now, if you find yourself coming back here a lot, if you find yourself, these are my 3 departments and I want to check them out on a weekly basis and see what their productivity is looking like, what you can do is you can set a bookmark. So if I go up to this sort of flag icon, I can click bookmarks, click this little plus, create one, you'll name it whatever. What this will do is it'll save the location you're at and it'll save all the filters that you have in place. So the most practical, the application I think in my mind for this is it makes it like really, really easy for you to immediately get the data that you need for some of your regular views. So for instance, if I simulate just opening up Infor, right? I just opened up Infor. I'm back on my landing page. I have no filters. I'm not even in productivity yet at all. I'm just in HR Talent Analytics. I can click into HR Talent Analytics. I can go up to my bookmarks. I go under Global. I could choose my nursing departments. It'll immediately push me to this page, and it'll filter this page for just the departments that I've selected. The one thing that may also filter on is your pay period, if you also selected a pay period, so keep that in mind. But what it means is that you can just immediately get into this tool and immediately start looking at your specific departments rather than having to, click through a bunch of things and update filters and all of that. Now we also have a daily option here. So this will show you some of our daily info. This one is, it's going to show you the last 15 days, the last 14 days, but this one I have to update on my own because it's drawing from our WFM data. So it's going to show you these hours down here are our punch hours that we have flowing through from WFM. So you can see some of that information here. Of course, as WFM is getting set up, this will look more robust. But when you log into the tool, because it had literally just been set up the previous day, you probably won't see any hours there. It'll take a little time for all of that to get updated. And then at the top, you can also see your volume at the daily level. So it means that essentially, if you're wanting to see how much volume, like when volume tends to drop or what volume you have coming in on the daily for your department, you'll be able to see that information. Now I have 2 different reports that I want to show you guys. I think for the most part, our reports are made for our finance teams. There are 2 of them that I think that are applicable to everybody. And this first one is going to be our pay type detail. And what this is going to show me is my departments. I'll be able to filter by specific departments, and I can see the pay codes that are flowing through for those departments. And then on the far left, I can see the categories that they're falling into. So if I want to, I sorted on my categories right here. If I want to scroll down, I can see, you know what, underneath other, I'm seeing stipend, jury duty, bereavement, administrative leave. You'll be able to see essentially like that specific mapping that you to those pay categories that you would have seen on the other page that we were just taking a look at. Another page that might be interesting to you, if I go back to my reports, is my workload volume report. So this is going to show you, right now I don't think it's going to be showing us much here, but this is going to be showing you all of our volume that we have flowing through from Epic, as well as some of our manually uploaded volume. And you'll be able to filter it on service date, posting date, and department. So if you were seeing on the front end, you're like, you know what, I want to see how the volume is being totaled from like that granular view up to like the total volume for a pay period, you'll be able to come in here and you'll be able to see what departments you have and what revenue centers they fall into. Now, that's pretty much the last thing that I have to show you guys outside of the like tip sheets and the resource link I'm gonna send you. But does anyone have any questions on the tool or anything that I've covered so far today? All right, I'll take that as a no. But that's, if anyone has a question in the next couple minutes or seconds, please feel free to put it in the chat or speak up. Totally fine. I'm gonna leave you guys off with a couple links that you guys can have for some resources that we have set up. I'm going to put these in the chat. They're also available in the training. But if I go under, I'll put this in the chat here. It'll open up for me. There we go. This first link is going to be to our resource page. So this will show you our SharePoint link. I think you can also get this. It's just like where you get your WFM tip sheets and everything. You'll be able to get that here. So you'll see the video that we have on file, and then you can see some job aids and stuff like that. And you can take a look at that as you need to. You can also look at the user guide. So you'll have that on file to review. And then I also included our email. So if you start to use the tool and you're running into issues or have any questions, or need to reach out to us for any reason, please feel free to send us an email. If we can't solve the problem for you ourselves, then we can at least forward it to somebody to make sure that we can get it fixed for you. But last thing I'll leave you with is that I'm also going to have some office hours when this tool is released. So that's going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays next month for around like 3 weeks. So I believe that link is also in the UMSU page for this training, and you'll be able to just join me whenever. If you're having an issue, I'll just be sitting on that meeting. But if no one has any questions for me, and we're all good to go, then I think that we're pretty much finished. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Of course. Have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.